in the book of Esther. And right now we want to talk about when respect collides with reconciliation. We're in chapter 1 of Esther, verses 15 through 20. And we'll get there and we'll read that. When respect collides with reconciliation. It said, what must be done? In other words, once this, as we mentioned in the last session, Vashti decides she's not going to come to the king, but he's called for her. You know, the men know that this is going to be a disaster. If she does that, all of the women will be dishonorable and disrespectful to their husbands. And they gather together and they say, hey, you know, we've got to do something about this king. You know, that never happened. You don't, the custom and tradition of those days, there's no way that you would die for doing something of that nature, for denying the king, for not coming. And as we talked about in the last session, you know, when you have something like that, that's really personal that happens, you may be hurt, but it has to be addressed in a personal way so you can mitigate, so you can minimize damage. So this is what they came up with. What must be done to Queen Vashti? The king demanded. What penalty does the law provide for a queen who refuses to obey the king's orders, properly sent through his eunuchs? Memucan, is one of the eunuchs, answered the king and his nobles. Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but also every noble and citizen throughout your empire. Women everywhere will begin to despise their husbands when they learn that Queen Vashti has refused to appear before the king. Before this day is out, the wives of all the king's nobles throughout all Persia and Media will hear what the queen did and will start treating their husbands the same way. There will be no end to their contempt and anger. So if I please the king, we suggest that you issue a written decree, a law of the Persians and Medes that cannot be revoked. It should order that Queen Vashti be forever banished from the presence of King Xerxes, and that the king should choose another queen more worthy than she. When this decree is published throughout the king's vast empire, husbands everywhere, whatever their rank, will receive proper respect from their wives. That's why we say when respect collides with reconciliation. Here now we've got a circumstance that has begun with a king high in spirit, drunk, practically, for all intents and purposes. He's got all of his boys around him, all of his potentates. He's got nobles and officers and what have you. And then he thinks to call for his wife because he wants to show her off to them, show her beauty. You know, and obviously, you know, she, you know, is not impressed by that kind of request at all. All right, and she's supposed to appear before the king. Everybody does. You die for not doing something of that nature. And she takes umbrage. She rebels, basically, taking her authority as a wife and not doing it. And so now the circumstance proliferates. Now he's asking his anger, what in the world should I do? And the response is, banish her. Banish her. The response is not, you know, hey man, I mean, there was a mistake on our part. You know, maybe we need to apologize. Nothing of that nature. It gets worse. Banish her. And that's exactly what happens. Men particularly, I'll say to you, you know, our imagery, our focus of our relationship is Jesus. You want to start talking about I'm being disrespected? Well, disrespect comes with relationship. That's what sacrifice is all about. No, I'm certainly not here trying to support, you know, disrespect by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't do that. But there are going to be times you feel disrespected. Well, Jesus, just remind yourself of Jesus. And then discover what it is that we need to do so that we can be leaders and so that we can share in such a way that's soft with our spouses. And no matter how soft it is, it's still acute when you have to be critical with somebody. But be soft so that we can grow through that disrespect. And so it turns itself to honor. But in this case, we've got a warfare and a woman that is now going to be banished. That is going to be banished. That's what happens when respect collides with the spirit of reconciliation, when there should